Welcome to the Healers Café, the #1 show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart-to-heart conversations about their day-to-day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. Welcome to the Healers Café, and I have with me today Dr. Sam Shay. And he is a functional medicine and functional genetic specialist. He solves health puzzles for busy, health-conscious parents, entrepreneurs, and adults on the spectrum so they can exit survival mode and re-enter community by improving resilience, energy, and brain health through personalized, data-driven genetics and lab testing. Now, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions how you got into all of this, but with your permission, I would love to play a tiny clip that I got on YouTube. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine. If I put them on YouTube, they're meant to be shared. Yeah.
Okay. And let me just do that right now.
For context, as you're loading this up, so despite the academic veneer and the embarrassing number of credentials, I'm a stand-up comic, and this is a trailer from my recent 60-minute comedy show called Neurospicy: Love, Life, and Comedy on the Spectrum, which is the 60 minutes I wish I had 30 years ago to explain how my neurodistinct brain works. And back in the 80s and 90s, no one talked about or understood, in my case, Asperger's syndrome, which I do have, and didn't find out until like 6 years ago, in my late 30s. So what I wanted to do was to create a vehicle to educate that was palatable and scalable and relatable, and that could bring both the people who are neurodistinct or neurodiverse together with the quote normies, and and learn about how there's this whole group of people that just exist amongst you, that you had no idea that we experience the world totally differently. And the gatekeepers that I had growing up, teachers, counselors, my parents, doctors, the principals, and they just didn't know. So the 60-minute comedy show is my way uh, of ending that, ending that cycle of lack of knowledge, and then to be able to scale it out to all sorts of people, so that other children and also parents don't have to struggle like I did.
Hmm. Okay, I'll start the play.
You know what you're thinking. I look like a reformed supervillain. So what is a stand-up comic? It's a person with a problem who no longer pays for therapy. What's my problem? Adapting to the normie world. See, I recently discovered that I'm on the spectrum, specifically Asperger's. What's Asperger's like? Best described like a pharma ad. Do you struggle with awkward idiosyncrasies, immodest intelligence, and gratuitous polysyllabic vocabulary? Ask your doctor if an Asperger's diagnosis is right for you. Signs include missing social cues, sensory overwhelm, easily startled, narrowed interest, oversharing, and robotic affect. Now, am I describing Asperger's or all of academia? Academia is the Costco of Asperger's. It's nerd in bulk. So why a stand-up comedy special about Asperger's? Well, if someone, anyone, had spent 60 minutes with me 30 years ago and explained how my brain was different and how to navigate the normie world, my life would have been completely different. This is the 60 minutes I wish I had, delivered with humor.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there, but yeah, it seems so perfect how you described that. I haven't seen the 60 minutes yet, but I'm certainly looking forward to
And for
that.
people who are listening, there's actually like music. The trailer itself has more like music and whatnot. I think there may have been some audio syncing with playing it, but just like it's a full-on trailer. And I can we can put the link to the full trailer in the notes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, so why don't we start just how did this whole journey, comedian, doctor, like obviously you had Asperger's but undiagnosed, but what happened then? How did this all come together for you?
Well, like most people who end up as providers for natural health care, they follow the same archetypal storyline, just the details differ from person to person, and that's the wounded healer. And I had my own bevy of wounds, growing up as a child, and then I decided to take take control of my health, and then in that process realize I wish to help other people not suffer the way that I did, and professionally devote my life to this, because I fully understand what it's like to struggle with health. And start for me, it was starting at age 6 with my parents, nuclear divorce.
Oh, we cut here.
I think that was I think that was my VPN.
Okay.
So it, it started back when I was about 6 years old, when my parents had a nuclear divorce, and me and my siblings were caught in the blast radius. And my parents did not divorce well. It was terribly ugly, and then combined with a lot of stress and physical bullying at school for many years, I was unprotected and not taken seriously and gaslit. It led to severe insomnia, video game and sugar addiction, and terrible, embarrassing digestive problems, physical pain from the injuries I sustained from the assaults, and the anxiety, depression, and uh, in high school, I just decided I have to figure this out myself, because my parents were interested in um, therapizing me and drugging me into submission, as opposed to actually investigating what was going on. And the the irony is that both of them were also medical professionals, and the tools that they had and the awareness they had about there are other things that could cause stress aside from antidepressant deficiency. And there's and right now is a fast, and I went through, and I went and did pre-med, and then a holistic health practitioner degree on weekends and evenings in college, and I did a writing minor, effectively, and then went on to go to chiropractic school and studied heavily functional neurology and nutrition, and the whole time also looking at mind body techniques like the work of Byron Katie, and many other different things, and uh, getting involved in anthropological based nutrition studies, and then became an acupuncturist later on, and then really got into functional nutrition and then functional genetics. And I've been doing uh, the and I've been a virtual concierge functional medicine practitioner for since late 2017. So it was well before it was fashionable to be on Zoom. And the and when I've reflected upon my journey, and I reflect back, especially to those very painful years growing up, what I realized is that, one, I did have a bit different brain type. I was neurodistinct with Asperger's, and no one understood what that was. And uh, I had sensory overwhelm. There may be parents listening here that have neurodiverse children, neurodistinct children, and these are kids that have trouble with there's some combination of any or all of the following: problems with social engagements, because they're not able to read the social cues, or they misunderstand, or they don't see them, or they misread them, or they undervalue or overvalues them. There's sensory integration issues. Sounds are too loud, lights are too bright, tastes are too strong, smells are too rank, whatever it might be. Like clothes may feel super uncomfortable. It's our sense our apertures of sense perceptions are dilated much wider than a normal person. So normal stimuli is actually abrasive to us. What may be a normal sound to you is actually quite piercing to me. And then there's needs for different types of routine and familiarity and habits and things for self-soothing that may feel awkward or uncomfortable for those around us, whether they're parents, other family members, teachers, whatever. And like everything from just like bobbing movements or just needing to fidget with something or whatever it might be. It sounds these are self-soothing mechanisms because we're just in such sensory overwhelm. And then there may be food sensitivities and difficulty sleeping because we have such a high level of hypervigilance and anxiety. And then so there's all of my issues. And then I reflected on, okay, I had my issues, but then it was really one of the things one of the demographics I really specialize in is helping parents of whether their kids are neurodiverse or not. This would apply, but I have a unique sympathy for parents of children on the spectrum because my parents did a really terrible job taking care of themselves physically. And then that led to very unpleasant downstream effects on everyone else. I'll give you an example. My mother was terribly sleep deprived, had a lot of physical chronic pain in her back, and was also hangry from eating candy bars and whatnot during the day, and deeply stressed, being now a recently divorced single mom of raising 4 kids. She had some help, and my bio dad technically did pay child support, but he was effectively absentee. And and some people may not know this, but certain painkillers like Tylenol, if you take them, it actually depresses empathy. In fact, one of the functions of Tylenol is to depress the pain circuitry, the emotional pain circuitry. So you take Tylenol, you actually do feel less pain, but you also feel less emotion and less empathy for others. And that's well documented. And so my mother, by her own admission, when I kind of put this all together for her, by her own admission, said that she wasn't doing well and she made bad decisions on my behalf. And spoiler alert, she and I have a way, way, way better relationship now, but it took a couple of decades, and I want to not have other parents and children suffer through that timeline that we did. So if someone like me was able to go back in some magical time machine and help someone like my mother, then the younger version of me would have gotten help regardless of whether or not whatever help they gave to me otherwise. Like if you help the kid that's struggling, that's great. But if you help the parents, automatically the kid's going to get help. Automatically everything's going to get better. And everyone's going to, but even if I quote did better, that wouldn't have taken away necessarily mom's back pain, the sleep deprivation, the high stress, because she got other kids and life still goes on. Yeah, sure, one other variable may have been dropped a bit, but there's plenty of variables to deal with, and the hanger and all the rest of it. And if someone was able to help, my father had his own health issues he was refusing to address that affected his decision making and his mood and etc. So my desire is to make sure that parents understand, one, what neurodiversity is, what neurodistinction is in their children, so that there can be better strategies and connections and different approaches to help your child not only thrive but connect and integrate with the whole family better and better, so that having a family experience is fun and fulfilling for everybody, but also for the parents to realize that their health, they should prioritize their health as much, possibly more, than their own kids. And I know that may seem counterintuitive from the kind of these baseline instincts of parents. I must sacrifice myself for my kids. Like, I don't actually agree with that.
What would your life be like if you were pain-free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
Because the sacrificing, I experienced firsthand what it was like when a parent overextended herself, and then she not only got unhealthy and hangry, she got deeply resentful, and felt a lot of resentment and stress about her kids, and you could taste it in the, like, it was just palpable.
Right.
And it's a very uncomfortable to be felt as, I am sacrificing for you and you are making my life like, and that was how unskilled this whole situation was. And I'm not saying every parent goes through that, but the risk of careening into resentment and bitterness and shame about, and also the shame about how one feels about feeling resentful towards one's kid. Like, this
Right,
is
of
called the
course.
second arrow, in certain philosophies, that I feel bad about something, then I feel bad about feeling bad about the
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And that shame of, oh, I shouldn't, not like my kid, that's a whole separate secret thing that parents go through. And like, some people, oh, that's psychological. Maybe it's also physiological. If your blood sugar's off, you're sleep deprived, you're in physical pain. Yeah, the world looks a bit dark, including your own kids. Like a lot of this can be laid at the feet of, let's check gut health, blood sugar, your mitochondria, thyroid, individualize your diet based on your genetics, whatever it might be. So that's the air quotes short summary of how I got to where I am. And I really feel that helping parents uh helping parents is kind of an unsung, it's an unsung group, because everyone's focused on the kids. I would push back on that, and I think helping the parents is, I think, a real place to start, or at least co-start, like, put as much priority on
Well,
it.
it also gives them actually firsthand experience in the possibility of change, right? Because it's typically, if you really get down to the roots of helping, parents with emotional disorders and, unresolved back pain, a lot of it comes down to lifestyle choices they make, and I mean, there's a lot more to it, but if they were to simply make some changes and see that it affects them, then it also gives a lot more hope to a condition, for example, that they may not be familiar with or know about, to the depth, So I think it's kind of, it's like experiencing it firsthand. While, like, why is it that your life has to be on hold? It doesn't make any sense if you're exhibiting symptoms that you're not,
Yeah.
all there and all present and all, yeah. So I think it's very important what you're sharing there.
And I've had parents ask me all the time, what's the best way for me to help my child? And I say, model health.
Yeah, model it.
Model it. Model it. Like, if you're, like, parents, like, they've got stomach problems, they've got sleep problems, they've got blood sugar problems, they've got, their own addictions. For me, it was sugar and video games, but parents, they have their own, whether it's to something digital or something chemical or something behavioral, model, if you model health, model personal responsibility, model the, for your health, model the routines, model good food, sleep habits, etc. And model getting good coaches and getting good mentors, and having a good team, because one of the things every parent I'm aware of would always want for their child is that their child finds a really good non-kin mentor to
Mhm.
help them that only cares for their best interests and wants to help them culture and grow and become the best version of themselves. Parents parents can aim to have that too and model that. And it's I feel like the whole family would benefit if this was kind of the norm.
Yeah, most definitely. So what is it now that you do? I mean, you do comedy in part, obviously,
But
but
it's a side mission.
it's
It's
a
a
side.
side mission.
Yeah.
It's not my career or anything. It's more of a side mission.
But who comes typically to see you at this stage? Is it like the parent? Because a lot of parents don't recognize that they have issues
Mhm.
that they need resolving, though times have changed. I mean, now we're in a much more conscious period. At least we can see that, maybe, playing endless video games in front of your kid and hoping that they're not addicted to video games may not be a possibility. It's like you have to see what it is that you're willing to change in yourself, before preventing your child to do the exact same thing you do, for example. But how do you attract people to your clinic, and yeah, how does that part of your
So my primary method of outreach is through summits and podcasts and my newsletter. And so I do. I'm virtual, so I'm not limited by who's within driving distance. And
Mm,
so that's very helpful for wherever people are living.
yeah.
And the primary people that I serve are primarily parents, and whether or not the parents have children on the spectrum or not,
Mhm.
um, it's helping parents. Though the ones with neurodistinct kids certainly resonate with me a bit more, simply because they see some sort of adult version of their own kid in me, or some sort of transference there. I don't know.
Mm,
The other people that I help are entrepreneurs, and the entrepreneurs, they are, uh, they've got a an extra, they're kind of programmed, or they have a disposition to look ahead and want to know what's new and cutting edge and how to see around corners. And functional testing and looking at labs, and they like data and predictions and seeing around corners. So lab testing and genetics kind of really slots quite readily into the ethos of being an entrepreneur, because
mm,
you want to be able to know what is coming and what's happening now, and be able to have prediction models of what's coming in the future. So having really well done testing, and someone who's, entrepreneurs, they hire accountants and they hire consultants and the other things, but somehow health is like in this separate category, and they don't realize that health is a legit business expense for an
mm,
entrepreneur, because they can work their whole life to attain like freedom for their time, or their finances, or who they associate with, or what they're doing. And those, by the way, those are the four freedoms, a la Dan Sullivan. But the fifth freedom is health freedom, and that if they don't have their health, they can't enjoy any of those freedoms they fought so hard for. And
mm,
the fact that entrepreneurs don't prioritize their personal health as a earmarked business expense for themselves is kind of bizarre to me.
yeah. Yeah.
And I want to help entrepreneurs realize that their ability to make high quality decisions effectively and efficiently is predicated on the quality of their brain. And I would
Mhm.
hope they would want to maximize their brain as much as possible. So the other group of people that I work with are adults on the spectrum. I do not, not that I don't sympathize with kids under, kids under the age of 18 or 20 or whatever it might be. It's that, in order for me to really best help someone individually, I feel like there has to be some more frontal lobe development for them to help encourage the responsibility that it takes to, here's the recommendations on lifestyle that you need to implement, and then here are the labs to do, and so on. There, I there are people who specialize in working with children, and that is not necessarily my expertise. And I really do want to focus on helping the parents and adults on the spectrum. And and helping the structures above that can support the kids below them. You muted yourself, Manon.
Sorry, my cat decided to make lots of conversation with me. So I said it's very it's important that you know, you also know where you who are the people you're meant to serve most, you know. So
Mhm.
yeah, not everyone wants to or should do everybody.
In fact,
So
that's a good marker of a good practice. If you want to vet a good practitioner, ask the practitioner who or what they don't work with, and if they don't have an
right.
answer, run.
Yeah, yeah, maybe, yeah. I guess it does depend on the practice. Um, Also, I don't know if that's true for all modalities.
I think it's absolutely true for all modalities. There is, I cannot think of a single modality where there's not a meaningful exception, a categorical exception to the quality of what they're doing.
Hmm.
Not one. You can go down the list from even people who are doing muscle work. Some people have so much massive fibromyalgia in certain areas that they need to have some nutritional or chemical interventions first, or some psychological interventions first to drop or they've been so traumatized that they can't be touched, like, period. And
Yeah.
I've had clients like
Mm.
that, all the way to people who, well, this chemistry, this nutrient's great. Like, well, maybe, but is it actually going to be effective, or are you actually just overburdening the liver even more with whatever? So I think medicine is a giant sandbox, and I think people need to really own where they live and what's their optimal service within their section of the sandbox.
Oh, no, I agree with you. The optimal service. I was thinking the optimal, you know, because I've gone to many marketing courses too. It's like, you know, do I want to niche it down, maybe from a marketing perspective,
Mm.
but can I help an infant or an elderly person in the work I did? I think
Mm.
that's possible. So, but I've got my type of work niche down,
Yeah,
you know.
that's what I meant. Like, how
Yeah, that's what you meant. Yeah,
age group is age. There's many different categories to distill
exactly.
down and or
Yeah.
to expand outwards. But if there is no distillation across all categories,
Yeah,
that's a
that is
problem.
no, absolutely. It's like you're generalist as well on some level, right? You know, it's yeah, it's good to know if you're seeing one or if you're seeing a specialist, because both can have their eyes closed. You
Totally.
know, yeah, one can't see the big enough picture, so and then the specialists don't speak to each other. So, you know, you're not really sharing the same patient because
Totally.
there's no understanding there. Anyway, we're actually through our time. I feel like we've just started. But anyway, this gives an introduction, you know, to you and your work. Would you like to just close it with a couple statements where people can reach you? And
So
yeah,
when people, so the best way to reach me is just to go to my website, just drsamshay.com, DRSAMSHAY.com. And there, there's a couple options if people want to. I mean, at the time of this recording, I'm still doing the 15-minute free discovery calls. That if you are a parent or an entrepreneur or an adult on the spectrum, and also if you're not even just a parent, I have a lot of people who aren't parents, they're just adults who are needing someone who's data driven, that understands functional medicine and genetics, and understands what it's like to be tired all the time, to have fatigue, to have pain, to have bowel problems, digestive problems, hormone issues, etc. uh Typically I have my client outside the three categories of parents, entrepreneurs, and adults on the spectrum. The other major group that I help are females 35 to 55 that struggle with perimenopausal or menopausal, or just the middle age shifts that happen in their bodies. So you can go there and you can schedule a 15-minute chat with me. Also, there's several resources there, like a 3-day lifestyle nutrition guide. And I'm also on a bunch of other podcasts and summits. You can literally just put Dr. Sam Shay, like spelled SHAY, into iTunes, your Spotify, YouTube. You can go to my YouTube channel. That's where my comedy is also. And that would be the best way to reach me is actually mainly through the website.
Okay, well, thanks very much for sharing your time with us and sharing this information.
Thank you, Manon.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.